guys, welcome back to Morning Chats and Happy New Year. I'm so happy to be back here on my main channel in 2019. And it feels weird saying that because we're like pretty much halfway through January. But in any case, I wanted to show you this little mini away suitcase that I have. It's so cute. It looks like a few different colors depending on how the light hits it. Sometimes it looks like sea green, sometimes it looks purple, sometimes I see rainbows on it. All the makeup I use fits right in this little thing with a ton of room to spare. And it makes me happy every time I see this sitting on my desk. So I really wanted to show you that. It sold out so quickly. I remember as soon as I got the email, because I'm on the email list with Away, and yeah, they announced it. And I think a few days later, I went to go order it as gifts and they were gone. So I am just gonna put some Glossier skin tint on. And honestly, I'm kind of tempted not to put anything on my face just because my skin is doing so much better. When I was in China and Korea, I was a hot mess. Like, I just had acne all around. And I went into it knowing that it was going to happen because my skin always freaks out every time I go to Shanghai. Like, this is my 3rd year in a row. And it's always a bit disappointing when, you know, your fears actually come true. But I'm telling you, like, as soon as I landed on Maui, it just started clearing up. And I know that sounds crazy because my skin usually doesn't do well on flights, but man, the air quality, the humidity here, sun, just, what can I say? I'm home. So yeah, I wanted to tell you about my time in China and Korea. I mean, in the most condensed way that I can, because you guys know that I can talk. But oh man, where do I start with my time with the Whitmans? I do know that I have a few new people here on my channel, so if this is your first morning chat that you're watching, welcome and thank you for tuning in. I got to connect with one of our members in our membership program, and she was telling me that she found my channel 2 months ago, and so she's watching. I think she started watching like the recent morning chats, and then she was watching some of them out of orders, and she was like, no, I can't do this, I need to watch it from the beginning. So she's actually watching it from the very beginning, and she said right now where she's at is we just announced that we were moving to Maui. And like, it was so cool talking to her because we ended up FaceTiming, and she was telling me that, well, no, it's like I'm talking to someone who is like time traveling in some sense and telling me about past Jenn, and she's talking to present Jenn, and you know, she is like, because the videos are so fresh in her mind, she's able to like make references to certain things, and she was bringing them up to me, and it was like I was reliving my past and just kind of journeying with her, and it was such a cool experience. So how did I get here? Oh yeah, so if you're new to morning chats and you're tuning in for the first time, I guess, yeah, I just wanted to welcome you and let you know that I just came back from China and Korea visiting some of our closest friends there. So this family that we visit every year, our 3rd year in a row now, they're the Whitmans, Chad and Gail, and I talk about them all the time. Brandon and I talk about them all the time. Chad used to be Brandon's boss at Reebok when we lived in Korea, and he was like the mentor that Brandon had been praying for many years. And you know, Chad's wife Gail and I became really good friends. So for as long as we can do this, we try to go out to China to see them every year for Christmas. And I mean, I couldn't think of a better way to wrap up 2018. I mean, just spending time with Chad and Gail and their 5 kids, it was like the bow on what was 2018. And for a large majority of 2018, it's been amazing. I mean, we followed our dream to move out to Hawaii. We are here now. Yeah, it comes with some struggles, and my anxiety was full blown this year. And a lot of moments about it, they weren't fun for sure. And it's revealed things about me that I know it's good for me to know, but the process of it was so painful and a lot of times ugly. But I have no regrets about it. But I don't want to just say that 2018 was a bad year or just a hard year. And something being hard doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad. But it wasn't like easy breezy either. Another thing I want to emphasize is that our friends, Chad and Gail, they are seriously two of the busiest people we know. So Chad, he is the VP of Reebok China and Asia Pacific. And that's like the condensed version of his title. So I won't even like go into the details there because I don't think I could do it justice. He's a very busy man. And this year alone, he traveled, I think he was away from home like 170 days out of the 365. And so Gail is pretty much single parenting, like she often refers to, raising 5 kids on her own in China. They both have their hands full. And Brandon and I, it's just hard to consistently keep in touch with them. And plus where they live in their compound, it's just the internet access is pretty terrible. And it's not as easy as just picking up a phone and just calling them or FaceTiming them. And so basically, these 13 days we had together in China to celebrate Christmas and New Year's, we were catching up on this entire year in those 13 days. And it was intense. In a lot of ways, Gail and I, our paths were mirroring each other, and we had no idea too. Because this year, actually, not even that long ago, at the end of November, I had my first panic attack, like 2 in one day. And the last time I had one was in middle school. So it's not something that I regularly deal with. And then when it hit me this year, it was pretty rough. Gail too, around the same time, had a panic attack that like shook her up. And yeah, she was just telling me it just like kind of, I don't know if it came out of nowhere, but it was a lot of things that built up and then it manifested in that, and it was just terrible. Chad and Gail also hit a little bit of a rough patch in their marriage, and we're working through that. They were both saying that as soon as Brandon and I walked into their house, it was the most relaxed everyone's been. And I think previously, like Chad, because he has so much on his plate, he doesn't really He has a hard time relaxing. He's not someone that naps or is just able to, not think about work. But yeah, Gail just kept emphasizing that this time around, these 13 days, like they were both so relaxed. I think for me too, it's been a while where I felt like I could just like fully breathe. I've had little moments of it after we wrapped up filming 30 Days of Crushing Anxiety over on Above the Waves channel. And after that, I was like, oh, and then I slept for like 14 hours the next day. Yeah, it was really nice to know that I was in company with people that I love, that I know love us, and that we could talk about anything and everything, like nothing is off the table. And I just felt like I wanted to soak it up as much as I could before we had to leave. Another incredible thing that happened, and I won't go into it too much here because Gail and I actually filmed a couch chat over on Above the Waves channel, and we had a whole conversation about it. That video is like 53 minutes long, I think, so you guys can go watch that if you're interested. But yeah, Gail had a crazy breakthrough regarding where her anxiety stems from. I didn't know that her anxiety was as bad as it is. I learned it for the first time actually on this trip. And she was saying that, she's always thought that this was just something she was born with and that she was just going to have to deal with or manage for the rest of her life. Whether that's with like, exercising or sugar or alcohol. Like she was just always on anxiety management without really understanding where it was coming from. So yeah, she had a crazy breakthrough, and just to sum it up in one sentence, like she realized that her anxiety comes from her seeking rejection. And I know that kind of sounds sick, like why would anyone go and like look to be rejected? There's actually way more than that, but she was basically just saying how she's been living life on the offense, like showing up as if the person that she was interacting with had already rejected her, and so she's always just kind of been tense and like living on the edge, and which is why, you know, she doesn't like to be in social situations, and, you know, just likes to just be an introvert most of the time. And then she has these stages where she used to refer to as her manic stages, where she's like, okay, I gotta go out there and I gotta just, you know, crush life. So she would just sign up for all these different things and volunteer for a bunch of things and then just crash, right? And she was just living like this and didn't really understand where it was coming from. But it was amazing. I mean, it was really painful to watch, and I know it was painful for Gail to go through, but what it did for our relationship, me and Gail, what it did for her and Chad, and like basically what it did for Gail and her relationship with her siblings and her parents. And Gail is one of 8 kids, so big family. She keeps crediting me and Brandon for being a part of it, and I don't say that right now to toot my own horn, but for me it was so eye-opening, because in that moment, I didn't go and approach her because I saw that like she was sobbing or anything. It just, I put out a feeler and I went over to her, and then like this whole thing that we could never have imagined happened. And yeah, just to give you an update on Gail, you know, if you have already watched the episode with her on Couch Chats, she's on fire right now. Like, she has been emailing her kids' teachers and like interacting with these people that she necessarily wasn't seeking out earlier, and she's just like letting it all hang out there and like just openly sharing her struggle with anxiety. And the response that she's been getting has just been like fueling her to do more of that. And she's just been so shocked about like, hey, wow, it's really incredible that when you show up in such a real and vulnerable way, how that really sits with people and what you can do for someone just by, you know, your act of courage. So yeah, I'm really inspired by her right now. Just in case I get questions about this, my cheek color is RMS Beauty's Lip to Cheek in Curious. It's this really bright coral color. Unfortunately, I heard this is discontinued, so I'm so sorry if you like it. Alright, so Gail's anxiety, and then, you know, it just, there's always an invitation there from the Whitmans, you know, for me to share whatever it is that's on my mind. And Chad and Gail have no problems just going in and talking about the hard stuff. But if anything, you know, with everything that Gail shared as well, like, I just put it all out there with all the things that I've been anxious about and my struggle with it. And I was telling them about my experience with, you know, filming 30 Days of Crushing Anxiety. The thing that's giving me the most stress right now, I shared with them, which is, you know, our finances and how to launch our business and, you know, make decisions and stay alive, eat healthy, and doing so responsibly, right? So yeah, we had numerous chats about my anxiety. We even uncovered certain marital issues that I didn't realize was so deep-seated. Like, I had something that I was pretty resentful about in our relationship, my relationship with Brandon, that came out on the table, and that happened while we were having dinner at a very fancy restaurant, and I was just like bawling my eyes out. Ugh. When am I not crying, right? Apparently I had a lot of underlying anxiety about going back to Korea. That was another topic that we talked about in my couch chat with Gail. It's funny because right before we left China, Gail was telling me that, you know, she was really hoping that I have my own breakthrough while I'm in Korea because of the issues I had with going back there. And I'm not trying to be cryptic here. I just don't want to be so repetitive. Again, which is why I keep referring to sending you over to the couch chat. I talked about it in there. But so yeah, she shared that with me. And Brandon and I had a fight in Korea. And it was, I think it ranks up there in one of the worst fights we've had. Only because in the almost 5 years that we've been married, we broke a record with not talking to each other. We went 5 days without talking to each other, and we reached a new level that I didn't know we were capable of, and I'll get into that later. But the breakthrough happened after we got back to Maui. So Gail's breakthrough in China, she like hoped that I would have one in Korea. We fought in Korea. Breakthrough 5 days later when we got back to Maui. And the start of 2019 was quite rough. I don't know if I would share all the gory details of what our fight was about, like on YouTube, but I definitely am more open to possibly sharing that with Brandon, just so you don't hear just my side of the story. Probably, maybe, over on our membership site. So yeah, that's still something that I'm sitting on, and if I feel convicted, I will share that. What else? So apart from talking about marital issues and us talking about like the kind of year we had, our struggles with anxiety, Chad and Gail actually spent a lot of time brainstorming like business related stuff with us, and they gave us a bunch of great ideas to do with Above the Waves, and they were just totally open and willing to hear us out and just counsel us and, encourage us, affirm us like they always do. One of the big tips that Gail gave me was for 2019, she was like, Jen, you need to stop listening to negativity, whether they're the voices in your head or the negativity in the form of just people being mean to be mean. And I'm not talking about constructive criticism, not at all. But yeah, like Brandon and I are at a point right now where we are giving everything we have to Above the Waves. And we have a time limit for it, right? Because at some point, if it doesn't work in the way that, we define it being successful, then we might have to walk away from it, or we go out and try to find full-time jobs and do this on the side. I don't know the details of that yet, but basically we have to really focus this year. And Gail's tip was, Jen, you just gotta put on the blinders and just focus on what you have to do. And if that means, Brandon is reading the comment section and filtering stuff, and I'm just not taking it on unnecessarily, I guess. Yeah, that was one of the big tips that she gave me. And it's funny because I selfishly want to get to a point where I can hear mean or unhelpful criticism and have it roll off my shoulders. I'm not quite there yet. There's huge improvements, obviously, from when I first started YouTube. And, with anything where you're putting yourself out there, it's terrifying. This also relates to one of the goals that I have for myself in 2019, which I'll also get to. I'm trying to follow this flow that's in my head right now without jumping all over the place too much. So yeah, let's just put a pin in that because I do want to I'll give you a preview of one or two of my goals. So yeah, we left China feeling really revived. I felt like I saw more clearly what I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm still like riding that high from our visit. And then we went to Korea for 6 or 7 days. Our Korea trip was awesome too because we got to see another family that are near and dear to us. My friend Sandra, she was actually on a morning chat 2017. We stayed with her and her husband and their 3 kids. Man, they just really spoiled the poop out of us while we were there. Just taking us to eat everything that we wanted to eat. And Sandra took me to the nicest salon I've been to. And she treated me to this perm. Oh yeah, by the way, this isn't natural. I'm not back on the curly girl method. Well, now I'm using some of the techniques from the curly girl method, like leaving in product, just to eliminate a little bit of frizz and stuff. But yeah, she treated me to this perm and a haircut. And at every turn, it was like, what do you guys need to do while you're here? And how can we support you? And we just got loved on. And I talked about this at length in last week's gratitude newsletter. If you read that, this is old news to you. If you're not subscribed to my gratitude newsletter, you should subscribe because every Fridays I send out an email and basically give you like 5 highlights from my life that week. And it ranges anywhere from, product recommendations or like new food that we discover that we like, or just moments from my life, you know, with my friends or just experiences. It's all over. It's all over the board. And I just really share what I've been grateful for each week. So yeah, the Ans, Sandra and Sungchan An. Sandra too, she's so precious to me because after Gail left Korea, when we were living there together, I was like gutted. And I prayed for a friend. And I don't need a lot. I just need one really awesome one. And Sandra was my answer to prayer. And it's so funny. The way that I met Sandra was the last Sunday that Chad and Gail were going to be at the church that we were going to join because of them. It was their last Sunday before moving to China. And then Brandon and I went to that church to listen to Chad's testimony. And then a week later, after they were already gone, you know, we decided, okay, like maybe we should go make some friends. Let's go to that church that Chad and Gail went to. And it was that week that I met Sandra, and she invited me to have lunch with her. And normally I tend to turn down invitations, especially when I just met someone. Like I'm not really open to going to lunch with them right away. It's just like, I guess, my introverted side of me. But yeah, for whatever reason, I was like, let's go. Even Brandon was surprised. He was like, really? You want to go? I'm like, yeah, let's go. Let's go have lunch. And I fell in love with her. And that's where our friendship began. So yeah, in Korea too, we had a lot of late nights just talking about stuff and lots of laughs and tears shed and exceeded expectations as well. And then, what else? Yeah, I mentioned that fight that we had. That happened like 2 or 3 days before we left Korea. Yeah, it was a rough time. I will say though that one of the things that I learned, which was part of the huge breakthrough that I had when I got back to Maui, was there was something that I have been so hungry for from Brandon, and I've been seeking it. But at the same time, like when he was willing to give it to me, I didn't want it from him. And I know that might sound a little bit weird, but it's kind of like the whole seeking rejection thing that Gail and I talked about. It's I would want something from him, and then even if he tried, that's the thing, like he didn't even stand a chance. He could have loved me the best way that he could in this area, and I like didn't want it from him. Like I already like discounted it. What he had to say about the matter didn't matter, right? And so immediately I shut him out, and that has been it has been weighing on us. Maybe not in everyday situations, but when it creeps up, it's bad. And I just learned that the thing that I'm seeking from Brandon is not for him to provide for me. One, I can provide it for myself, and two, like I need God. I need it from God. So yeah, this fight kind of left us in a dark place, and I mentioned that it brought us to like new levels that we didn't know. So we fought in the past. Obviously we fought in the past, but we've had some bad fights in the past where we wouldn't talk for a few days. But even though we were mad at each other, like if it was my turn to cook or Brandon's turn to cook, like we would still make food for the both of us, and maybe we'll eat in silence, but like the food was prepared. But for this fight, it was like, I still remember he made food just for himself one night, and I was like, oh yeah, okay. So then after that, I would only prepare food for myself, and then we just really lived like separate lives under the same roof, and we live in a very small home, so it just wasn't fun. And at one point I was like, you know what, this is stupid, like let's get over this, because we have a very important mission that we're on together, you know. And for whatever reason, we call it, I forget what Brandon referred it to. It was like something like a divine silence or something. Anyway, both of us, even though we were miserable and each day that we didn't talk to each other, the anger just kept building. He was like, this is uncharacteristic for me to go on this long without trying to make up with Jen. But for whatever reason, he was like, something inside was telling him like, don't make up just yet. And I felt the same thing. And the crazy thing is we didn't voice this to each other. So here I am thinking like, we should just get over it. But like every time like I thought about like approaching him or, you know, trying to make up, he iced me out, and I felt it. And I was like, you know what? I would rather that we don't talk to each other. So yeah, it was during this period of silence where my breakthrough happened. And like I said, it was the things that I had been desiring, I've been expecting him to give to me, and they're not things for Brandon to give to me. And it has a lot to do with like my self-confidence and my self-esteem. So this leads me to kind of share or give you a preview of my goals for this year. And I plan to share, I think I have four or five like pretty defined goals now for 2019. And I'll just give you a little bit of a preview here, but I'm going to save the goal talk for a couch chat with Brandon that we're going to be doing later this week for Above the Waves YouTube channel. One of my top goals for 2019 is to become more confident in who I am, like who God designed me to be, and what it is I have to offer. So one of the ways that I'm working towards this goal of becoming more self-confident is I am going through my own course, the course that Brandon and I designed together, which is called Getting It Together. And basically it's called Getting It Together because it's about like getting our shit together and also like doing it together as a team. And I had this thing in mind where the clients that work with me, you know, I'm all about the whole you're not alone, and this course that we created, we designed as a weapon against anxiety. And with this, I really think this program is going to change lives. So we piloted this in July. It was a 30-day course, but we felt like there was just too much material in there, and we wanted to give our clients like more time to work through it. And on top of that, I am like on calls with them every week. So one-on-one calls. We decided, okay, let's stretch it out and include more calls. After the pilot program, we have been like making adjustments based on the feedback that we got from our first round of clients. And the feedback was amazing. Like if that was my first go at it, and if that was the impact that we had just from trying it and putting ourselves out there, I'm so excited to keep like fixing it up and rejigging it to make it better and better for each launch. And so I am getting ready to launch this course, specifically on January 28th. I was actually going to do it next Monday, but we decided to have a little bit more time on our end to like just tie up loose ends. So yeah, we're launching this course on January 28th, and it's going to run until March 10th. So through this course, I have listed out my goals for this year, and then I have like created a plan so that I can actually make them happen and they don't like disappear into thin air along with like most generalized New Year's resolutions. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, I want to become more self-confident. Okay, well, what does that look like? And so I have like a plan right now that I am holding myself, and actually Brandon, he's my accountability partner, where I am like working through these things on a daily basis. And that's more big picture stuff. But within that, it's, you know, establishing like routines that I can really rely on and planning the best way that I can so that I could eliminate all the anxiety and all the what if, you know, worst case scenarios that tend to like cripple me. Because yeah, when I let those voices like take over, it's just, yeah, it's a rabbit hole that I often have a hard time getting out of. Well, I used to have a harder time getting out of. It's this daily practice of like capturing all these negative thoughts that I'm having about myself constantly and starting to redeem them or making them more accurate, and not covering myself in these like really awful, mean blanket statements about myself that for the most part aren't true. But I keep telling myself that, and you know, it's like you tell yourself something enough, or other people, you listen to what other people have to say about you enough, and then you start believing it. I'm really trying to eliminate that crap. And yeah, I'm doing that through this program. Something that I haven't mentioned in this video, but I think I talked about in my Above the Waves newsletter is, you know, I didn't go into 2019 the way that I wanted to kick off this new year. And it wasn't just about the fight with Brandon. Actually, in that email, I just talked about how we got back to Maui from the 3-week vacation in Korea and China, and I got on the scale, and you guys, like, I was 6.8 pounds heavier than I was before we left. And I was only a pound lighter than the weight that I was when we first came to Maui. And that's after like 5 months of traveling, and Brandon and I both put on like 10 pounds each. And then I worked really hard to get all of that and more off over the course of 6 months. So from like May to November, I got really healthy. My eating habits, working out, it was good. It was great. And then I just totally fell off while I was gone. And so, yeah, I came back. I kind of already felt defeated. But for the first time, I think because I have pushed myself to limits that I didn't think I was capable of before, but because I've done that, you know, not just last year, but like when I did the fitness challenge with the 500 burpees, or, you know, committing to moving to Maui and then actually moving to Maui and then coming here and like launching our business and losing the weight that I wanted to lose and starting to like not hate cooking and being able to prepare healthy meals for ourselves. Like I did all of these things that I didn't have much confidence in before, but because I've done it, now I'm like, well, crap, like I don't have to add in all this drama about, oh, the 6.8 pounds. Yeah, I'm not happy about it, but I know exactly what I have to do to lose that weight if I wanted to. And I know that if I want something bad enough, like I will make it happen. That's something that, you know, took a very long time to develop, and it's still developing. I think self-confidence like always happens in stages, right? It's not like this overnight, you go from 0 to 100. And so at the very least right now, I can say, I know what to do, I know what I'm capable of, and I'm gonna do it. And it's as simple as that. Like that's all it is for me right now. So yeah, even though 2019 didn't start off like, you know, like it's January 1st and I'm gonna hit the ground running. No, I am happy to report that since we've been back, it's been a little less than a week now, but I've dropped weight, and I've done it in a healthy way. So some of the tools and tactics that we're teaching in our 6-week program, Getting It Together, is, you know, deciding on which systems you're going to use to be able to manage commitments to yourself and your commitment with other people. And I already had the systems that I like to rely on so that I can, you know, stick to my plan and make things happen. And thankfully, because I have that, I'm not starting from scratch, but I definitely need to like hit the reset button on that. So even though I know what to do, obviously, you know, I fell off while I was on holiday. So now I'm back, and it's a matter of me like taking out my toolbox and just dusting it off and like looking through it and taking out things. I mean, basically Marie Kondoing this, you know, metaphorical toolbox where the stuff that doesn't work I can toss, and the things that I know was good for me and is effective, I can dust off and put back, and I know that I have that to rely on. So whether that's like, you know, rejigging my bullet journal and, you know, clearing up my Google Calendar, staying on top of our monthly budget so I know where our money's going and that we are spending the amount that we planned for each category. So that means like less eating out. And honestly, we don't even eat out much here in Hawaii like we used to in Korea, but our food budget is always something that can use tightening up. And going through this program is making me reevaluate like everything that I have in my collection, and to see like, how can I use this better? How can I manage this system to, you know, implement my plan of meeting my fitness goals or my business goals, all of those things. I know I briefly mentioned my morning and evening routines before, but oh my gosh, when we got to Hawaii, when we first moved here, and after we kind of got our working out and eating healthy in check, I developed a morning routine for myself and an evening routine that I just thrived on. I went to bed so relaxed. Even though, like, honestly, my life wasn't relaxing because it was right after we moved here and, like, we're getting ready to we're busy settling in and also getting ready to, you know, register a business and like figuring out what the hell we're gonna do and all of these things. But with the routines that I established while creating that course, it just had me sleeping so well and just excited to wake up every day, because when my anxiety would hit, and no doubt it would hit, I knew exactly what to do to combat it. And so that's something that I am back on, thankfully, and I want to keep it going. And one way that I am keeping track of it is like I have a habit tracker in my bullet journal so that, I can keep myself accountable for, what time am I going to wake up like I plan to, and how am I going to prepare myself for the obstacles that are going to come up. Like, I know I'm not going to want to work out on the days that I've committed to. How am I going to get around that, right? So it's all of that. I'm so on fire about it right now because, I'm going through the course. Like, for one, like, I am kind of doing it selfishly so that I could help myself. And the other thing is, so that I can know firsthand like what it's like to experience it, and also to make the necessary adjustments so that it keeps getting better and better for my clients. And I really believe that we created something where even after these 6 weeks are over, like the people that work with me, they're gonna have like all of these tools and tactics accessible to them anytime that they want, that they can use anytime they want for the rest of their lives. And that's what's exciting to me. Much like in the same way with, how I make purchasing decisions. Like for me, it's always quality over quantity. And I love, things like capsule wardrobes or having like multi-purpose items. This is why I don't really, like trendy stuff, and why I don't like things that just look pretty on the outside and aren't very functional, right? So anyway, so all this to say, I think this course is like such a representation of everything that I believe in and the things that are important to me, and it's just packaged in a way that I just want to share, that I'm really proud of. The other cool thing is Gail is actually going to be taking my course, and this is so huge for me just because she is someone that I respect so much, and a lot of times I'm like, why do you even look up to me the way that you do? Because I feel like I have so much to learn from her. And to see someone I respect so much, like, believe in something that I'm doing, and she sees so much value in it. She often tells me, she's like, man, Jen, like, you need to start looking at what you're doing through my eyes, or through the eyes of other people that keep saying this to you, but for whatever reason, like, you don't want to believe it, right? And I know that that's not just me, that's most of humankind, right? It's the fear of failure and the fear of rejection and the imposter syndrome, right? Or comparing yourself to other people that you think would do a much better job than you. Those are the things that I am trying to put my blinders on, because that is not helping me. It's not helping anyone. So anyway, that was just me thinking out loud. So one of the daily assignments I'm doing right now, and this is probably the one that I have the most difficulty with, and that is spending 10 minutes every day writing down all the thoughts, the negative ones swimming around in my head, and just taking a look at them and not judging myself while looking at them, and then also taking the ones that are haunting me the most and redeeming them, like I mentioned earlier. I have decided that whatever factors are in my control, I am going to do what I can to action them. And for me, what that looks like is just running full speed ahead. And it doesn't mean that I ignore my negative thoughts, but like I said, it's to look at them and be like, well, that's interesting. How can I use this to make it useful for myself? And, just redeeming it and not letting it, like, not letting every little thing like trip me up along the way. So yeah, I run full speed ahead, and I give it everything that I got. And if I fail doing this, at least I tried, And I think so much of my life I have just failed ahead of time. Like my previous coach would say, she would always say, like, don't fail ahead of time. Like, at least if you try and you fail, you know that you at least tried. But a lot of times, like, I don't know about you, but for me, it's like I look at something and I'm like, I can't do that. So I don't even try it. And so I've already stamped myself as something that can't do this specific thing without even making an attempt, right? So in fact, as I'm saying this, it's like, even if I fail, I don't fail. Even if I fail, I didn't actually fail. Or to be more specific, even if this fails, I didn't fail. And I think that's something that I need to tell myself more, and I think that's probably something you need to tell yourself more in the mirror. And, as we are interacting more with our members over on our membership program, that site too, right now we have members submitting like topics and questions that they're struggling with. And so they write it for us in a form, and then Brandon and I, we look at those topics. And on Saturdays, we host a webinar and we sit and we just like deep dive into those topics. Like basically that's what we're doing right now on a weekly basis. And we were lucky enough that when we were in China, we had Chad and Gail join us. So they were special guests in one of our webinar sessions. There's definitely a theme going on with the submissions we're getting. And it's, not feeling good enough, or not feeling lovable enough, or, questioning like, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing in this life? Like, am I parenting correctly? Am I being wise with my money? Am I failing at life? And so I say all these things and it just sounds like I'm sitting in front of the camera and just giving myself a pep talk. And some part of it is like, this is an exercise for me because it is freaking terrifying. Still, after more than 2 years of me doing morning chats, it's still scary for me, guys. Like today I had to just like walk around and just listen to music to calm down, to sit and talk about this because it's not easy. But I'm not gonna I'm not gonna let it not being easy be an excuse for me not to do it, right? Like I said, me sitting here, it's not just to like pep myself up, not entirely. It is an exercise for me, but I say this because I'm pretty sure that this is something that you're probably struggling with too. And so, yeah, if you're open and you're willing and you're hungry to just get your crap together, or if you are just hungry to see what you're capable of, maybe you just need someone to hold your hand and to just be right behind you, cheering you on, and to just push you up the hill, like lovingly, I can be that for you. And even like 2 weeks ago, me saying that like so boldly, like in your face, it makes me cringe. And I'm not saying I'm doing this perfectly right now, but when I think about people that don't have a friend like Gail in their lives and just trying to manage all the stress of everyday life and not learning how to filter out like mean things that you believe about yourself, or, like endlessly scrolling on social media and feeling like a piece of shit because this girl just ate a burger and she has like the skinniest body you'd ever did see, or whatever it is for you. Maybe all of your friends around you are getting married and you're still single, or maybe everyone that wasn't planning to get pregnant, they're suddenly knocked up and you've been trying for 2 years and you're just not getting pregnant. Whatever it is. I think one of the biggest takeaways that I had from my trip to Korea and China is, oh my gosh, I can't imagine what it would be like to suffer alone without having like a support system. It's unfortunate for me that my support system, they live in different countries. I'm lucky that I have a husband that I can do this with. So basically what I'm trying to say is, please know that there is an option where you don't have to suffer alone. If any part of this video resonates with you, or I don't know, you're tickled in some way or you're intrigued, but maybe you're not fully ready to commit, whatever that is, I'll have links down below. One of them will be for you guys to go and see what this Getting It Together course is about. We try to put as much detail about the course into the website description as possible. And please do not judge me by how our website looks right now. That's another thing. Like, it looks nowhere near what I want it to look like right now. But again, like, I'm in this mindset where it's, done is better than perfect. We'll make it pretty later. But yeah, it's just, when I look at my website right now, I'm like a little bit embarrassed. But apart from that, I just want to be completely transparent about that with you. The other thing is, sign up for my Above the Waves newsletter, because every week I send you an email where I share like a moment in my life. It can be like an interaction, like a quick exchange that I had with someone, like my coach at the gym, or a friend in my life, or just something that I kind of realized on my own. And my hope with that email is to just give you like a little slice of encouragement throughout your week. That one definitely feels more like like a little letter to you. Whereas my gratitude one, the ones that I send out on Fridays, that is another newsletter. And in there, it's just more like I share like 5 highlights. I mean, that's where you'll see like product recommendations or experiences, or I guess you would like definitely see moments in my life too. But anyway, my Above the Waves newsletter, I purposely scheduled it so that it gets into your inbox on Wednesday, on hump day, to hopefully like lift you up for, you know, as you're finishing off your week and gearing into the weekend. So yeah, I'll have links for both down below if you want to check it out. So one last thing before I wrap up this video is one of my goals for this channel this year is to create more organization related content. And I want to do that not just because I love decluttering and I actually need to do some of that in my own life, but I really believe that being organized is a huge part of crushing anxiety. And that goes for just other things other than just organizing your space. So that means organizing your mind, you know, again, with the decluttering of the negative thoughts, having the systems to manage your commitments with other people, organizing your money, you know, having a budget, and yeah, knowing where your money's going so it's not like this mysterious, fuzzy figure. So I'm looking at my bullet journal here, and I have like 2 videos that I want to start out with because I feel like they're the easiest. One of them is what I packed video. I actually filmed this before I left for New York for my sister's surprise engagement, and I just haven't had a chance to sit down and edit it. So I want to share that because pretty much what I packed for New York, I also packed for Korea and China. So that's what I want to share. And then I really need to declutter my closet. My last declutter was in Korea before we moved here, and I haven't accumulated that much stuff, but it could definitely use another walkthrough. So I want to share my closet declutter. And then the third one, is I want to declutter and share my makeup collection because I mean, you guys saw what I actually need or like what I actually use on a day-to-day basis, and this has been like for months now. And so there are a lot of things that I actually can give away or just toss. My 2 drawers right now in my desk, like every time I open it, it's like, I don't want to know what's in there. I don't want to feel like that anymore. And so yeah, I want to start out with those 3, but I am totally open to suggestions. In fact, like I welcome your suggestions for organization videos. Like, what do you guys want to see from me? What do you think would be helpful to you? So please leave that for me in the comments down below. Okay, so I think that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great week. Make sure you check out the links down below, and I'll talk to you soon. And I'll talk to you in the comment section down below. Bye.